Hello, Scott from Wessex Blades. Plans for this week, plans for the future. I did my usual shrewd trick. I didn't buy my week to view diary until today because it was just half price with a nice sort of bound on the corners on, very neat and tidy. Yes, £3 in staff discount. So yes, for less than free, could have got myself sorted out for my yearbook as in 2016. And what I've done, I've tried to get them as chronologically in order per week, so maybe 3 small blades, 2 large ones, that sort of plan of attack, in order that I can see the length for me predicted waiting list. And I've always been knocking on the door of about 4 months waiting list, generally speaking, with some very patient people waiting slightly longer as I'm getting other stuff through that they're prepared to wait whilst I try and keep up with my run-of-the-mill orders, as it were. What I've decided to do is get the books closed. So in all fairness to those who've waited more than 4 months, are getting there as expediently as possible, and then I can just draw close to it. So what that means is I'm going to take on 2 more orders for the last sort of week of April into May. So I'm going to take on 2 more orders and then I'm closing the books, so I'll have to update my websites accordingly that books are now closed, and I'll have to wait until I've reopened them. Now when it comes to the order of things as I'm going through books, let's say for example I've got 2 Merlins going to a chap called Mike, I'll do 3, because quite a lot of my superb customers have paid maybe slightly more than a deposit, so by getting the stuff out I'm not actually getting more in a month's time, so I'm going to put one through every now and again to just keep me rattling along. Okay, so occasionally there'll be one up for sale, and you'll get a little update on how, what and why as it's coming. But suffice to say, this week what I've achieved and completed is 3 of this new one I got called a Galahad. I'll give it a little bit of a show and tell in a minute. The predicted course for this week is to get out Lekus for Will and Mike. That's 2 Lekus, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 3, understanding, and then I'll give myself a couple of weeks to sell that 3rd one in order to keep me just pootling along with something coming in, because those 2 gents have paid as much as up front as possible. So in order to keep it running, every now and again there'll be one offered for sale every now and again where it fits economically and efficiently within machining and settings up and everything else. So I'll have similar sort of blades to what the production run is that week, and obviously what that'll then give me is an opportunity to say, well, I can look how far I've come that week. I need to get this done this week. I need to stay working late Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in order to break the back of it for Saturday, Sunday. So it'll give me more of a carrot stick to get things done at a certain time. Okay, in order to get these guys who've been very patient and allow me to slip a few out earlier, especially when it comes to sharpenings of MODs and things, for the bread and butter stuff, and they've waited. So the plan is to get all the stuff done by closing my books after the next 2 orders plus 2, so the next order, and I close the books and get everything done and dusted. So anyway, intro to the Galahads. Now these are a variant of the Merlin, and the blank that we had working with, that Duncan and I sort of arrived at an outline profile. It gives me the potential to get a slightly longer blade, a slightly different profile blade out of the blank. Now the Merlin's a cracking little blade, but what I'm able to do by having more scope, more canvas as it were, is come up with these Galahads. So that's the sort of size that we're looking at. I'll come around there, too bright, that's better. Okay, so that's the sort of size, appearance. You can see the bevel at the edge. You can see the sweeping top profile as ever, slightly rounded where his thumb's going to go, and then square at the end. Okay, just so you know, square spine. Yeah, but I don't always want the square spine where your thumb's going to be because it hurts. Yeah. So Galahad in terms of size. I've done all these in oak, just so I got a bit of a theme going on. So 52-100, so it's ball bearing steel. Got some brass hardware on it and red fibre liner. So one of these, of which this is not that one, is going to Ant 7K metalwork. So here's Ant's. Okay, so he has sort of very difficult to see the detail. It's such a small canvas in order to work on it. There she be. So you've got Sir Galahad there with the sword. Now the myth of Sir Galahad is that Lancelot was encouraged to go to a monastery, and a lad that they had there who was brought up very pious needed something to do basically, so he took him on as a squire, introduced to the Knights of the Round Table, and then Sir Galahad himself drew a sword from a blue stone or a sapphire sort of stone. So in terms of purity, Galahad was right up there with the best of the Knights of the Round Table. So I wanted a very simple line when it comes to the profile of the blade, and obviously it's very sword orientated, so the slightly longer variant of the Merlin is the Galahad. Done a little stylized A on there as well for him, and as with all my leather sheaths it seems to be, I don't do a single row of stitching, it's a double row of stitching, double lock stitch, not saddle stitch. Saddle stitch goes in one outside and out the other, lock stitch goes round, loop and tied, and a knot disappears inside, so it's double row lock stitched. As you can see, it's not like a little triangle of stitching at the back. This is a lot of stitching, a lot of work, a lot of pronging with the 4-prong chisels, antique die right the way through, all edges slicked, all edges cornered and beveled, and then buffed up with 2 to 3 coats of carnauba wax so far. By the time it leaves, it'll have like 4 coats, just to work it in and get a nice waterproof colouring. It's waterproof down inside. It's dyed right the way down through, so you don't, when you look inside the drain hole, you don't see a patch of white or tan. It's all coloured all the way down through, carnauba all the way down through, Rizzling as well. It's a proper job right the way through. And as I say, for the smallest leather sheath I do, to still be able to do the leather carving was a bit of a triumph for me, because it's nice having a slightly larger work area in order to get all the detail in, to make the carving add justice for what I'm trying to portray. It's badass or go home, so I don't do really flowers and ferns and swirly leaves. I try and give it something that's got a little bit of haru, so the sort of Spartan warrior will make its entrance on slightly larger sheaths, but for the Galahad, I can have Sir Galahad on there. So I've got one for 7K metalwork, and then 2 more here. Again, double row, lock stitched. God knows the breaking strain of what that is on there. It should be more than enough to give you years of service. And these 2 are up for sale as soon as. So if you want these, message me. They're sort of bargain price. I'll work out in the next sort of day or 2. But it's somewhere in the region of about £125–130 for those as they are with the leather sheath on. Okay, now obviously add a bit of post on. So just under the price of a yeoman, and consider it's bigger than a Merlin, and a Merlin kydex sheath is quicker to put out. I mean, these are almost a day, so it's 3 sheaves, or just over 2 days to do the leather. I'm not quick, I'm very methodical. Again, that's one of the reasons I want to get the approach to the weeks in terms of batches of similar-ish blades, in order that I can get them all cut, get them all done. This was the first opportunity really that I could get 3 out of the same model, because I've got so many models and variants and kydex and leather and everything else. I'm able to give attention to each one, to give each one justice, but in terms of doing batches, I don't really generally do many batches, so I'm not going to be doing tens of things. I want to give a lot of attention to detail, so I'll be doing them mostly, I suppose, 4s or 5s in the future. It is my sort of goal, rather than doing, I'm going to do 20 of this. You know, it just takes the artisan out of the theory, you know, for one man, one Gary sort of outfits. So there's a couple of Galahads up for sale. There, Ants is on his way the next day or two. 2 Lacus. The week after, I've got Butantus for Mike. So obviously, if he's having 2, I'll chunk out another one, maybe a Danelaw, Fainlaw, something of a similar ilk, so that things run along. Get the bevel sorted on platen, it's all the same. I'm on the same hand finishing. I've got the etch thing ready and up and go. I'll be making the scales all together at the same time. So the opportunities to do 3s of something, I haven't really had much. Much of a chance to do it, in order to make my working practices in the workshop more efficient. So it's just the next step forward into my 2nd year, where I've dabbled in everything. I've brought out the models. I've been allowed to have a lot of free reign with approaches, and I've learned a lot by coming. All the guys who make 1C speed, get a big one, have a little play with a large one, and see the problems that I've had coming up against small work surfaces, or belts that want to do that every now and again, because the belt was just a 41. What's this going on with that? And just things that you come across, that I've had not the misfortune to come up against, because I've had so many models, but I've had the opportunity to get stuck in and come up against these problems. So I've got a lot of depth of problem solving that's cropped up and reared its head, as it were, over the year. So that's sort of plans moving forward. I suppose the biggest thing I could say, after being on the road, as it were, for like 12-13 months now, is it's thanks for the patience of those who've waited. The understanding also for an age check of some description. So what I'm asking for is a photograph of yourself with your passport, just so I got an opportunity to just assess you in more than, oh, you may have a PayPal account. Does that guarantee you're over 18, or do you know your mum's password? Do you understand? So I imagine with 60-70 customers that I've had dealings with over the year, I think it's in a magnitude of 2.5 times that. So 60, 70, 150-ish. I've made inroads in order to purchase a knife. I've asked for some proof of age, and that's the last I hear of it. With all the, but if it's a problem to just send a photograph through, you begin to wonder whether or not it's someone underage or ne'er-do-well. So yes, I'm not taking all comers on in terms of offers of work, but I'm sticking to my guns, and there's no way I'm letting anything out getting past prices sort of stage until you've sent me a proof of age. It's as simple as that. I got to guard myself in terms of someone who deals with sharp implements with pointy ends, and the last thing I want to do is open myself up to any form of, you know, dropping a block, because there isn't much scope for free strikes in your out in this country. The way that the legislation's going, and the thing with the zombie knives, you know, the Met don't want they want to have them banned or something. It's, you don't want to make yourself a real bad egg, as it were, for the community. So I'm not going to yield when it comes to the proof of age that I'm asking for. You've got to send a photo of your passport or something, and a photo of yourself holding it up, and that's it. So, you know, anybody who gets funny or shirty or whatever about it, sorry buds, I got to look after my business, and I'm not letting stuff out unless you prove to me that you're over 18. So a short little video clip, I've had a few of those, and that in itself was a bit of fun, because it allows me to see you and interact and get into your character, you know, and it all helps the process along when there's been some, you know, exchange of just the character that you are and everything else. It's just like meeting someone at a show. Well, if I met some guy at the show and he gave me a note, I said, could you sharpen it up? It just so happened I met him at the time. Could you sharpen it up for you? Give you a bell, here's your email, and off we go. I've met the guy, so it's not a problem, because if the guy looks 45, 50, over 20, you know, his age is fine. Okay, so moving on, get cracking. I got video to upload. I'll wait for the daylight to do a vid on the ones down there, because it's dark and grey. So bit of a show and tell, as the Galahads are on their way this week. But for moving forward this week, it's Leku's. Week after, it's Butantu's. Two for Mike, and I might put out a Thainlaw or some mid-sized blade like that. Thanks for joining me again. Thanks for your support. Big thanks again to everybody who's ordered my stuff and waiting longer than the actual waiting list, to allow me the flexibility of getting other things out. But I'm tackling it now, and I'm getting your stuff out as fast as I can, and occasionally, as I'm tackling this backlog to my Uber customers, there'll be the odd one every now and again up for sale. So it's got Wessex Blades. Support.